Wow. We are 25 episodes into this series, and you guys just somehow keep coming up with great suggestions. It's actually pretty impressive. So it's a special episode today, as we'll be looking at 14 Dead by Daylight myths submitted by you lot rather than the usual 8. 13. It's 13, not 14. I couldn't do one of them. It's 13. I say 14 later in the video. It's 13, not 14. 3. Shall we begin? Small game doesn't trigger on Rekindled Totems. This one was submitted by Jojo or Anorexichag. Yeah, Anorexichag? I don't know. Hex Pentamento allows you to rekindle cleansed totems, a special 4th state of being for totems. Small game gives you an auditory warning when looking at the... Hello? That was weird. Small game gives you an auditory warning when looking in the direction of totems in a 45-degree angle when within 12 meters. It gains a token that decreases this detection angle by 5 degrees every time you cleanse a dollar hex totem, but no mention of rekindled totems is made. So, will it spark an auditory warning when looking at a rekindled totem? Small game gains a token when cleansing rekindled totems. And will small game gain a token when cleansing a rekindled totem, even though the description doesn't specify that it will? Zombies can one-shot you when you're exposed. This one was submitted by Razor Killer. Let's say you jump out of a locker and the killer has Iron Maiden. You're already infected. Will the zombies be able to one-hit down you due to the exposed, or does it still count as a single health state loss? Let's take a look. The Wraith doesn't trigger crows when cloaked. This one was submitted by Enchanter110. Dead by Daylight's trials are adorned with crows who fly away when a survivor or the killer gets too near. But will this still happen when the Wraith is cloaked? He's invisible, right? So what would they be running away from? Let's take a look. Using a brand new part will override Overcharge. This one was submitted by the mobile game pistol guy. Overcharge activates when damaging a generator. The next survivor who interacts with it is faced with a difficult skill check. But what will happen if a survivor uses a brand new part, which also causes 2 difficult skill checks to appear on an overcharged generator? Will the BNP be ignored? Will Overcharge be ignored? Let's find out. Unrelenting assists with the cooldown of hitting walls. This one was submitted by Mr. XD. Unrelenting reduces the cooldown of missed attacks by 30%, but will it apply this benefit to hits that connect with a wall? We found out a few weeks ago that it doesn't work when breaking a lock as the Dredge, so it might stand to reason that it's a blanket rule for any connection. Let's find out. Iron Maiden activates when pulling a survivor out of a locker as the Dredge. This one was submitted by Name Loading. Iron Maiden causes survivors who exit lockers to suffer from exposed for 30 seconds. They also scream. But will Iron Maiden trigger if a survivor is grabbed out of a locker via the Dredge's teleportation? Let's find out. Decisive Strike activates when pulling a survivor out of a locker as the Dredge. Another one from Name Loading along the same lines. Will Decisive Strike trigger when you're pulled out of a locker by the Dredge's teleportation? Buckle Up takes precedence over Knockout. This one was submitted by Yunch. Buckle Up allows you to determine the recovery progress of dying survivors by the intensity of their auras, visible at a distance of 48 meters. Knockout causes dying survivor auras to not be revealed if a survivor is further than 16 meters away. But will a Buckle Up supersede the effect of Knockout and allow you to see the aura anyway? Let's take a look. You can drop multiple dream pallets on Freddy with Power Struggle. This one was submitted by the legendary Sloth. Power Struggle allows you to drop pallets on the killer when you're being carried, provided you've reached 15% wiggle progression or higher. You can drop Freddy's dream pallets when in this state, but of course they don't stun him. So can you drop multiple dream pallets onto him? Let's find out. This one obviously is going to work. I'm just interested in seeing what it looks like because it looks really silly, right? Dissolution activates via Dark Devotion's Terror Radius. This one was submitted by Hennicide. Dark Devotion causes your Terror Radius to be transferred to the Obsession when hitting them with a basic attack. Dissolution activates 3 seconds after injuring a survivor by any means for 20 seconds. If a survivor fast vaults a pallet while in your Terror Radius, the entity will break that pallet once the vault ends. The perk then deactivates. So, if you give your Terror Radius to the Obsession runs away, and then a survivor fast vaults a pallet in the Obsession's Terror Radius, will Dissolution still cause that pallet to break? Blindness blocks the Dredge's ability to teleport. This one was submitted by Joseph Stacy. Residual Manifest causes a killer blinded by a flashlight to be inflicted with the blindness status effect, which blocks their ability to read auras. Some killer powers, for example, the Dredge's ability to teleport between lockers, depend on the auras of those lockers being visible. So what happens if Greggy Boy is blinded? Are you still able to teleport or not? And finally, Inner Focus activates when another survivor dies. This one was submitted by Revoltix. Inner Focus allows you to read the killer's aura for 5 seconds whenever another survivor within 32 meters of you loses a health state. But will this effect trigger if a survivor dies within 32 meters of you? In the past, we found that this sort of thing does work, as Hooked to Dead does count as a health state change, but we haven't tested it with Inner Focus yet. So let's take a look. And there you have it, another 14 DBD Myths Busted. If you have a suggestion for this series, please add a comment below with the word myth somewhere in the content of what you post. Feel free to submit the same thing over and over and over, as I get a lot of submissions and it's an almost impossible task going through them all. It's not spam, it's okay, it's actually quite useful. As always, a big thank you to my patrons, Joebrug182, Kurt Gardner, Sylvan, Think Sometimes, AVR Razor, Cokehead, Channel Manager, Chipstar878, and Godfather Dumbledore. If you want early and ad-free access to videos while supporting the channel, consider dropping me a few quid a month over on there. Or don't, that's fine too. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.